This is Snapshots, the podcast that tells the short stories about the impossible to forget pictures our mind takes of the positive, transforming events in our lives. Today, I'm going to give just a brief introduction to Snapshots and then share my shortest story, Buttermilk. Have you ever noticed in media that whenever someone is having a flashback that it's played out like a video? I don't know if I'm the only one, but for me, it's more like a picture or snapshot of the event. Sure, I can then remember other parts of what happened, but in my mind, I see at least initially one frame, not a whole movie. Much has been researched and discussed concerning traumatic events and why they are burned into our memories. I haven't seen much on why other memories, especially pleasant memories, stay with us. Maybe it's simply because they are important. However, I've had some very important times in my life in which I remember very little, while other, seemingly less impactful events stay with me. Perhaps it's our mind's way of providing comfort to us at later times, since many of these memories seem almost reverent in nature, at least the way we recall them. Or maybe we remember these events, however seemingly big or small, because they are the ones that transform or change us consciously or subconsciously for the better. I'm not sure, but Snapshots is about some of those memories that impacted my life that I wanted to share in hopes that in some way, shape, or form, it might help you, even if they just sparked a warm memory of your own. Now on to the first story, Buttermilk. My oldest sister, Jenny, died when I was pretty young. Consequently, I don't have a lot of memories of her. I believe she was good. In my own personal interactions, I can only remember warmth and kindness. For example, my snapshot is of myself, I was perhaps 3, sitting on a counter, Jenny standing facing me smiling, and me holding a very small plastic cup half filled with buttermilk. The memory starts with myself as a little guy opening the refrigerator. Sitting on the top shelf among the usual fridge-type items was something that I had never encountered. Buttermilk. It was in a tall, thin box, half the size of the regular milk box, and the buttermilk box had brighter colors. It both looked and sounded delicious. I mean, come on. Butter, yummy, milk, good, and it was shiny and new. I wondered what it was and knew that it must be amazing. I had to have some. My sister Jenny happened to be in the kitchen. So I asked Jenny what it was and if she could pour me some. My sister, who was several years older than me, picked me up and sat me on the counter so that we were eye level. She explained to me, in a way that still warms me, that I likely would not like the buttermilk, but if I really wanted some, she would get it for me. With my little legs hanging off the side of the counter and with the curiosity, naivety, and excitement of a young child, I ignored Jenny's warning and let my sibling know that I most definitely wanted the drink. Jenny then opened the cupboard, found the smallest plastic cup that we likely owned, took the box of buttermilk out of the fridge, and poured me a half cup of the liquid. It seemed a little different color than the milk I drank daily, thicker, and not as exciting as I was expecting. Nevertheless, I had come this far, so I raised it to my mouth and had a swallow. It was gross. I was convinced that it was the yuckiest drink in existence. I recall Jenny smiling broadly, perhaps even chuckling, and that's where the memory ends. One might wonder if my distaste for buttermilk is why this memory lingers. I don't think so, although I haven't tried buttermilk straight since. However, there are many foods that I don't like. I'm admittedly fairly picky. But I don't always remember which foods I dislike, and have often repeated my mistake of trying the item again. Plus, This is a very fond memory. I remember warmth, love, kindness, and the allowance to let me make my own decision, even if it turned out to be a bad one. As a parent, I recall this snapshot as a great teaching example. Isn't this, at least in part, how I should raise my children? Isn't this also, at least in part, how God raises us? I just wish I could always follow that example, instead of the many, many mistakes I have made as a parent. But that would be another story. For this tell, I'm simply grateful for happy memories of a sister with whom I cannot create more memories until another life, but whose example I can still follow while in this one. Thanks for listening to Snapshots, Memories that Transform Us. This is